with the heaviest rains occurring later today over parts of Illinois and Indiana. Showers and thunderstorms a problem all the way to the coast in the southeast. Flood watch is in effect for anywhere from coastal Delaware down across the Carolinas in coastal regions because of some high tides and strong winds from the northeast producing some flooding through that area. Out across the west, just a little bit of rain and snow in the forecast across the northwest. As far as high temperatures, it will look like December 1st, 30s and 40s across most of the country, some 20s even for upstate New York and northern New England. Here's Brian now with more news.
Valerie, thank you. State police in New Jersey are expanding their search for 3 inmates with AIDS who broke out of a prison Saturday night. The men managed to escape this maximum security prison by scaling an 18-foot wall, then cutting through a steel mesh roof over a courtyard. A fourth escapee was captured in a stolen car soon after the breakout. The search for the others has expanded into Pennsylvania and New York. The inmates were being kept in a new AIDS unit at the Trenton prison, but are said to be in various stages of remission.
Police records only tell part of the story when it comes to the victims of violent crime. Crimes against teenagers often are not reported and don't show up in the books. But as CNN's Ed Hula tells us, a new government study shows teens are most often the victims.
The Justice Department finds teenagers more than twice as likely as adults to be victims of rape, robbery, and assault. 60 of every 1,000 teens are victims of violent crimes each year, compared to 27 of every 1,000 adults, according to the study. The Justice Department also says that teen victims of violent crimes usually know their assailants, while adult crime victims know their attackers only 1/4 of the time. More than 70% of the time, adults are victimized by attackers at least 21 years of age. Crimes against teens do not show up as often in police files as attacks on adults. For example, 2/3 of the violent crimes against 12 to 15-year-olds are never reported. Also unreported, 60% of the violent crimes against 16 to 19-year-olds. By contrast, more than half of the violent crimes against adults are reported to the police, according to the study. It was also found that teens are nearly twice as likely as adults to be the victims of theft, and most of the thefts against teens go unreported. However, adults fail to report thefts 2/3 of the time. The Justice Department study concludes chances of being victimized usually decline among older age groups. The report was compiled from biannual surveys from 49,000 households from 1982 to 1984. Ed Hula, CNN reporting.
His accent was easy to imitate, but the qualities he showed on the screen could never be matched. Cary Grant was a Hollywood legend, and friends and fans are mourning his death today. The 82-year-old star died of a stroke Saturday in Davenport, Iowa, where he was to appear in a one-man show. Grant acted in 72 films. Although he never won an Oscar or an Academy Award, he was an honorary Oscar winner. He never stopped receiving praise from actors who wanted to be like him and actresses who wanted to act with him.
I can't think of anything, any person that I held in more awe. I just, you know, when he walked into a room, it was, everything was shining.
Cary Grant lighted up the screen in classics like The Philadelphia Story. His co-star in the 1940 film, Jimmy Stewart, says Grant was one of the great people in the movie business and a complete professional. Actress Eva Marie Saint, who starred with Grant in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, says the actor was the most handsome, witty, and stylish leading man both on and off the screen. A lot of his leading women felt that way, including his fifth wife, Barbara, who was at his side when he died.
Yes, you might.
Dexter, don't you know that tomorrow is the wedding?
Oh, that's right, so it is.
Close to 15 after the hour on this Monday morning.
It's time for weather. Valerie Voss is here. She's got the not-so-great job of giving you the not-so-great tidings about the weather this Monday. Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning, Brian and Molly. Temperatures look about seasonable. You know, it's December 1st today, and we're calling for 30s and 40s across most of the country. The cool spot upstate New York and northern New England, they'll just see highs in the 20s today. Those 70s and 80s are getting harder to find across Florida, yes. Some 70s across southern Texas and southern California and Arizona for 70s. Otherwise, 30s, 40s, just a thin line of 50s and 60s in the south. Our forecast map for later on today moves a cold front onshore across the Pacific Northwest, producing snow and rain through that area. However, that's not the problem spot today. High pressure across the southwest will keep skies clear and weather relatively nice. The northeast should be nice, too, with high pressure, although cool, with northerly breezes clockwise around that high. The problem area across the central part of the nation, two low pressure centers. One will move to western Missouri, the other to eastern Georgia, very slowly just inching their way eastward, producing snow across the central plains into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin later today. Rain showers farther to the south, and could be some heavy rains with that very slow-moving system. On our weather watch map, for that reason, in addition to the problem of northeasterly breezes and strong winds through the area, we have flood warnings for coastal areas across all of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and the Carolinas. Could be some strong waves through that area and flooding a problem. There's been some voluntary evacuations of western sections of Lake Erie, also because of strong winds through that area. And at last report across Lincoln Memorial Drive in Milwaukee, also winds across Lake Michigan producing some flooding, waves as high as 9 feet in that area. Take it slow and easy throughout those flood-prone areas. Very strong winds in the contrast, low pressure to high pressure up north in Canada. Out across the west, some problems also to report. We have travel advisories in effect for northeastern New Mexico and eastern Colorado. That for snow and blowing snow. 3 inches of snow has fallen this morning in Dodge City, Kansas. However, that snow has been mixed with rain in that area. Ice storms closed roads across northwestern Kansas. That produced a problem also. Travel advisories also in effect for the mountains of Southern California. Winds gusting to 45 and 50 miles an hour in the mountains down that way. So a lot of areas to drive carefully in this morning. Here's Molly.
Thank you, Valerie. Well, the 1986 hurricane season ended yesterday, pretty much the way it began, kind of quietly. Forecasters were required to keep track of just 6 tropical storms during the 6-month-long season. 4 of those storms reached hurricane force, and 2 of those hit the continental U.S. That is a sharp contrast from last year when a record 8 hurricanes pounded the U.S. 1985's hurricane season caused $5 billion in damage. This year, the damage total has been placed at only $20 million.
Well, designing a boat is a complicated engineering problem. Scientists experimenting with new designs use a water tank to simulate actual conditions in lakes and on the ocean. CNN's Charles Crawford has more on this report.
This is how researchers at Stevens Institute of Technology test a new boat design. At the Davidson Laboratory, a model is towed through a tank of water while dozens of sensors measure the forces on it.
The Davidson Laboratory is basically a hydrodynamic test facility. And what that means precisely is that it is to the naval architect what the wind tunnel is to the aeronautical engineer.
The researchers can monitor a variety of forces that make ships roll from side to side, pitch up and down, lean in one direction or another, or veer off course. They can produce various types of waves. These tests are being done for the Navy on a device called a water jet. It uses an internal propeller to pull in water on one side and squirt it out the other side. Some water jets are available now, but researchers are trying to develop more efficient models. Water jets could provide a way to move ships in shallow water, where an external propeller would hit the bottom. In another tank, researchers demonstrate a new boat design called a SWAT, short for Small Waterplane Area Twin Hull. The design was developed here for the Coast Guard to provide a small craft that is relatively stable in even rough seas, reducing the problem of seasickness. The main impact of waves on a boat happens at the waterplane, the line where the top of the water intersects the hull.
The larger that waterplane, the more intense the motions will be. And what the swath is a very thin strut that pierces the water surface, one on each side, and below the strut is a hull that's submerged like a submarine. So the contrast then is the displacement of a displacement ship has been submerged, and the waterplane has been contracted to this very fine waterplane, one on each side, so that now, as the waves go by the ship is immune.
Researchers at the Davidson Laboratory have tested everything from submarines to seaplanes, canoes to oil drilling platforms, to spacecraft designed to land in water. They've also worked on yachts for every America's Cup race since 1937. Charles Crawford, CNN.
Federal housing agencies are stripping luxury appliances from homes rented to low-income families. The Casper, Wyoming Star-Tribune reports that's because the Reagan administration says poor people don't know how to use those appliances properly. Because of the economy in some areas of the country, housing agencies have been able to buy foreclosed homes at very little of those homes have dishwashers, garbage disposals, and garage door openers, all of which normally would go with the house when it's rented to a low-income family. But now the items have been removed from at least 15 homes in Casper. They're being sold at auction just to cover the cost of their removal.
Million of former President Nixon's White House documents will be made public today, but they are not expected to contain any bombshells. Nixon lost a long court battle to keep private material he believed ought to be burned. The papers released from White House files include letters, press releases, and official documents. They are only a small portion of the total Nixon material inside the National Archives.
Pope John Paul II arrived today in the Indian Ocean Seychelles Islands, the last stop before returning to Rome from his longest trip ever abroad. The pontiff flew in from Perth, Australia, where he spoke at an elaborate farewell ceremony that climaxed his visit to the land down under. John Paul told the Australians they have much to offer the world as a nation called to greatness. He visited every major Australian city in just 6 days. A former French colony, the Seychelles Islands have a native population that is 90% Roman Catholic.
Good things in small parcels have long been a special Japanese talent. As CNN's John Lewis reports, the work of some of Japan's masters of miniature art is beginning to pay off in a big way.
Many people are well aware of the Made in Japan labels on everyday things made small, but that's not a talent developed recently. For about a 300-year period, the Japanese depicted common things larger than life through a small, unique art form known as netsuke.
Well, a netsuke is a miniature form of sculpture peculiar to Japan.
The noted American collector of little things is correct on all 3 points. The carvings are sculpture, they are Japanese, and many are, well, peculiar. Designed to be attached to pouches worn with kimono, the netsuke may have outlived its original purpose, but today the carvings offer a small glimpse of life and legend in Japan of the 17th through 19th centuries. Everyday scenes were of special interest to the artist, detail of special importance. Beauty was many times subject to artistic license. One wonders at times if that license may have not expired. Animals of the Oriental zodiac were always fair game for the netsuke artist. And the practitioners of the art form were not above a 17th century joke or two. The mythical kappa was said to pull human sacrifices underwater by, well, pulling their leg. In this turnabout, a clam is caught a kappa by its leg. Real life could also be tough during the Shogun years, whether physically or mentally, and you could be sure the netsuke artist was there to record it in its small detail. But it was not all so drab. Some Japanese couples liked to show off their finery. Others were content to watch while munching on an 18th century fast food order. Much of the netsuke to be found today can be found in the U.S., not Japan. That because the Japanese never considered the carvings fine art. But with prices upward of $80,000 being paid for the best pieces, it's not hard to imagine a long-gone netsuke artist having the last laugh at last. John Lewis, CNN, Tokyo.
Well, it was literally a parade of the stars as Hollywood kicked off the celebration of its 100th birthday with a Christmas parade yesterday. A lot of famous faces showed up among the marchers and float riders. Among the celebrating celebs were Angie Dickinson, Dennis Weaver, William Devane, Jimmy Stewart. There he is. About 250 parade and personality watchers line that 3-mile route through Tinseltown. Good one.
Rick Collins has the news headlines when daybreak continues. And also ahead, we'll have the financial report from Stuart Varney.
And look out, Tournament of Roses, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Drool Squad has hit the streets. Those characters and others make up the Doodah Parade. We'll show you next half hour.
Daybreak now, and in the headlines this morning, voices are being heard from both sides of the congressional aisle calling for fast, full disclosure of any White House dealings with Iran and that Contra connection. Republican Senate Leader Bob Dole's calling on the president to convene a rare special session of the Congress to appoint a Watergate-style investigative committee. Republican Senator Richard Lugar of Indiana is calling on the president to clean house and form a virtually new administration. Senator Dave Durenberger, who's chairman of the Intelligence Committee, says his committee, which meets behind closed doors today, wants to talk with several national security personnel and ex-personnel before he calls cabinet members to testify. That committee has contacted the Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. And President Reagan, who got back to the White House yesterday, calls North a national hero in a Time magazine interview out today. The president says a bitter bile is in his throat these days because of the controversy and the press coverage of it. The president meets with his NSC members today and with that three-man panel he named to investigate the NSC operation. The spiritual leader of Lebanon's Shiite Muslims has pledged to help two American Muslims seeking release of hostages. Mohammed Mehdi of New York City, the base National Council for Islamic Affairs, and one of his aides are now in Beirut trying to meet this week with captors who hold some 17 hostages. Mehdi says he's hoping to leave by Christmas and hopes to leave with at least one freed hostage. A Justice Department report says teenagers are twice as likely as adults to be the victims of violent crime and theft. A new two-year study shows some 60 out of every 1,000 teenagers are victims of violent crime every year. Only 27 of every 1,000 adults are so victimized. The report says most teen crime victims know their assailants, 60% of whom are teenagers as well. Well, the stereotype of the handgun owner as a beer-swilling redneck in a T-shirt is pretty well crushed by a new report from a pair of Texas A&M professors. A survey they made indicates that high-income, college-educated Americans are nearly twice as likely to own a handgun as the less educated and poorer people. 22% of households earning more than $45,000 a year had handguns, compared to 13% of the households earning less than $15,000. There is to be no funeral or memorial service for Cary Grant. The Hollywood legend died of a stroke in Iowa Saturday night. He was 82 years old. President Reagan said of him, "Grant's elegance, wit, and charm will endure forever on film and in our hearts." Charlton Heston called Grant one of the screen's last gentlemen. The singer-actress Polly Bergen, who knew Grant more than 30 years, said, "We have just lost the man who showed Hollywood and the world what the word class really means. He was the one star that even other stars were in awe of." Now, to bring us up to date on the day's top financial news, here is Stuart Varney and the CNN Business News Desk in New York. Stuart?
Thank you, Reed. Today, Union Carbide starts buying back $2.5 billion worth of its debt that was taken on in a successful attempt to thwart a takeover. An Indian court had blocked that planned restructuring, but lifted the restraint on Saturday. Now, in exchange, Union Carbide agreed to hold aside $3 billion worth of assets to cover potential damages. India wants compensation for victims of the gas leak. Carbide says it has no liability for that accident. The nation's economy continued to grow sluggishly in November as production and new order levels showed modest gains. According to a survey by the National Association of Purchasing Managers, 28% reported new orders increased, while 18% said orders declined. A bitter feud between GM chairman Roger Smith and the head of its EDS unit, H. Ross Perot, are likely to come to a head today. That according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. GM apparently plans to offer Perot $700 million for his GM shares and his seat on the board. It is not known whether Perot will accept. American Brands will launch a $66 a share tender offer today for Chesra Ponds. Over the weekend, American upped its offer for the cosmetics giant by $3 a share, but that sweetened bid was rejected. Warmer than usual weather nationwide apparently put shoppers in the holiday spirit this weekend and cheered retailers who are now calling for solid Christmas sales gains.
I think it'll be a good Christmas season. We expect sales to be up between 6 and 7%. However, the stores are somewhat more optimistic than that. Many of them are looking for sales to be up between 8 and 9%, and the most optimistic are looking for a double-digit sales gain.
And by the way, the calendar as well as the weather cooperating this year. There are 27 shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, up from 26 last year. Well, the Iranian arms scandal is shaking up the currency and precious metals markets this morning. The US dollar is moving lower against all the world's major currencies, It is at $1.43 against sterling. It's reached 1.95 against the West German mark, and the Japanese yen is quoted at the 161 level. The dollar is down today. Precious metals prices, though, on the upside. Gold gaining $8.10 an ounce. It's at $3.99 right now. And silver is up 9 cents at $5.48. As for platinum, it's over $30 an ounce higher. It's quoted at $507 an ounce in London this morning. The bellwether 30-year Treasury bond down 9/32 at par 24. The yield coming in at 7.42%. The financial markets clearly reacting today to that Iranian arms scandal in Washington. Well, investors on Wall Street say hello to a new month today and the prospect of record-breaking averages. Last week, the Dow Industrial is up more than 20 points, back to the 1914 level. Wednesday's close at the 1916 level was the second highest ever. The transportation index up over 7 points. Utilities gained 1.5 points. The broader markets all on the upside as well. The S&P 500 gaining 3 1/3. The Amex up just under 2 points, and the over-the-counter composite gained nearly 5. The average daily volume healthy at 137 million shares each day. That is our business report this Monday morning. We'll have an update from Wall Street in 1 hour.
It was once known as Terra Australia Incognita, the unknown southern land. Lately, the land down under has become familiar territory to millions of visitors. This week, Travel Guide explores Australia, the new hotspot for travelers.
For a long time, what people knew about Australia was its exports. Olivia Newton-John, Mel Gibson, John Newcomb, and Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley. Now, thanks in large part to an advertising campaign featuring Paul Hogan, Australia's latest hot export, more Americans are finding out firsthand what's up in the land down under. The first visitors to Australia traveled light. 1 ball and 1 chain. The place was a penal colony for British bad guys. In fact, Australia was established as such after the Brits lost the colonies of Maryland and Georgia. The first group of convicts arrived in 1788. Australia is already planning bicentennial celebrations, which will include a reenactment of the arrival of the First Fleet and a world exposition in Brisbane. For those who are planning a trip to Australia before '88, there won't be any shortage of things to do. Australia boasts world-class cities, spectacular scenery, and unique wildlife. Also unique to the country is its version of the English language. For example, a tube is a can of beer, which always goes well with steak cooked on the barbie. Then there's fair dinkum, which means quality. But just plain dinkum means honest. And the Aussies have their own version of Cockney rhyming slang.
And if you take China, extend it, the word is China plate. That rhymes with the word mate, which is a friend or a buddy. So if you hear somebody say, "G'day, China," it's just somebody saying, "Hello, buddy."
Tomorrow, a stopover on the way to Australia. Bella Shaw, CNN Travel Guide.
Now back to CNN, the world's most important network.
Representatives of 40 countries are gathering in Geneva today to talk about saving the Earth's shrinking ozone layer. Scientists say chemicals called fluorocarbons are helping diminish the ozone layer that protects life on Earth from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. The United Nations is sponsoring the 5-day conference, which will try to work out the limits for fluorocarbon production. Maud de Victor is a caring lady whose fight for the underdog against the ravages of Agent Orange was made into a TV movie, Unnatural Causes. As CNN's Greg Lefebvre reports, her story does not have a happy ending, at least not yet.
Maud de Victor was among the first to notice the link between Agent Orange and the early deaths of some Vietnam veterans. Her story has been produced in a documentary, her battle dramatized in the television movie Unnatural Causes.
Good morning. This is Maud de Victor. That's capital D as in democracy.
But the real Maud de Victor has yet to make that triumphant ride into the sunset. De Victor was a benefits counselor at a Chicago Veterans Administration office.
Let's get that straight, honey. I work at the VA. I work for the vets.
In 1976, Maud DeVictor started looking into the premature deaths of some veterans. She found a suspicious link between the defoliant Agent Orange sprayed on the jungles of Vietnam and cancers and illnesses suffered by young veterans. But the VA has never recognized Agent Orange or its component, dioxin, as a cause of the veterans' ills. Maud DeVictor ran into a bureaucratic brick wall.
I don't want you going off on some wild crusade.
As for a vet, Mr. Clark, that's my job.
Her 10-year campaign brought her harassment, intimidation, and the loss of her job.
I can tell when my phone is tapped a little bit quicker than I used to, but I enjoy that because whoever listens on my phone always gets good information.
DeVictor says Agent Orange is an issue the people must solve because the government does not want to.
You know, Star Wars came from the top and came down to the electorate. But this is something that comes from the bottom, just as democracy is supposed to do, and come up to the top.
DeVictor now has a part-time county job in Northern California processing aid claims for the elderly. Life has not rewarded her for her trouble. The rent's due. She cannot afford to live close to her job. But every now and then, a vet calls and says thanks. Greg Lefebvre, CNN, San Mateo, California.
Some doctors in England have discovered a new use for the stun gun, an electrical device that is designed to ward off muggers. The device puts out a 20,000-volt electrical shock, and that can put a mugger in his place. Now, the doctors say it also can stop the sometimes deadly effects of poisonous snake bites. CNN's Richard Blystone has the story in London.
Fewer and fewer people know sights and sounds like this as world population moves to the city. But in the country, and for more than 1 billion people across the third world, poison snakes are a fact of life and death. The number of bites a year is uncountable, surely in the tens of thousands, and uncounted thousands die. Now, this little device, which somehow seems to counter the effects of snake venom with a 20,000-volt electric shock.
Current. If this area here was a snake bite, then one would apply the terminal to the area and then put the shock through the tissue. The question now is exactly what does that current do?
Dr. Charles McKenzie has been testing various theories.
One is that it destroys the snake toxin in the area here. That is supported by some experiments where we can inactivate venom by using such a current. Other theories would include the fact that by giving a shock to this area, you get changes in the local tissues which prevent the effect of the venom. At this stage, we just don't know.
But Canadian Dr. Ron Guderian has seen it work dozens of times at a village hospital in Ecuador, home of the lethal Bushmaster.
We've observed, now it's over 40 cases, and all those that we've been able to treat within the 20-minute time limit after the bite, we've had 100% recovery or no effect of the snake venom. We've now looked at scorpion stings. We have a large ant that's equivalent to the fire ant. We call it Congo ant. It's a very vicious sting. We've looked at the stingray, saltwater and freshwater stingray, and we've looked at wasp and bee bites. And we've been able to show that using this treatment, you pretty well degrade the venom and you have no reaction to the bites.
It's produced as a self-protection device, sale restricted by law. Voltage is high, but the DC current delivered would barely power your digital watch. Small and cheap, which counts in places where snakebite serum could cost a peasant a year's pay, if he could get it.
It's only produced in certain parts of the world, and it's quite expensive. And generally speaking, in most areas of developing countries, it's just not available.
Dr. Guderian envisions a lower voltage shocker the size of a cigarette pack for around $10. Third world peasants won't care how it works, so long as it does. Richard Blystone, CNN, London.
Some people shopping for fur coats today were confronted by animal rights protesters in at least 43 cities across the country. The demonstrators say they were not trying to harass anyone, just trying to educate people about what is involved in the killing of animals for fur coats. We get more on the story from John Gibson in San Francisco.
The throngs are out in San Francisco for the season of shopping and Christmas window.
I can't see, I can't move.
But this year, the spirit of the season is protest. Even Santa was taken away in irons. arrested for an illegal political demonstration. The protest this season is furs, as animal rights groups vow to bring the message to shoppers that furs are the cruelest fashion.
I think if people were even aware at all of how these animals died, how they suffered, I don't think they could possibly wear the furs.
Why would you want to wear fur coats? Because you're a slave of advertising.
The animal defenders invaded the inside of several major department stores to obstruct traffic around fur boutiques. One of those frequently targeted is Herbert Bernard, a furrier. He says the protesters are making no headway with the fur customer, that a fur coat is more popular than ever with women.
90% of what we sell here is raised on farms. We call it husbandry, just like you would raise a chicken, or you would raise a rabbit, or you'd raise a turkey.
San Francisco police arrested 10 fur protesters today, but it probably is not over yet. The demonstrators promise at least one more day of action before the holiday shopping season ends. In San Francisco, John Gibson for CNN.
46 past the hour. Here's Valerie Voss. Valerie?
Thank you, Brian. We're taking a look at the big picture across the central United States. You can see a big storm out near Honolulu and the Hawaiian Islands that looks like some showers in their forecast, too. Let's move in closer, take a look at what's going on close to home on our satellite photograph. The whole problem is a couple of low-pressure centers which will move virtually nowhere today. Those low-pressure centers, in contrast to a large, strong, high-pressure center over Canada, producing very strong winds throughout the eastern half of the country. Those lows also producing a mixture of rain and snow and freezing rain in between. The clouds stretch all the way up to the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, although the northeast cool will see generally sunny conditions today. All the clouds in a sweep across the eastern half of the country. Farther to the west, nice weather across a lot of the west, but a new cold front bringing clouds to the Pacific Northwest along with some rain and snow. On our national radar summary, we have all kinds of problems to report. Rain and snow, as we said, across parts of Washington, northern Idaho, moving into western Montana at this hour. It's snowing across most of western Kansas. Travel advisories in effect out that way. Dodge City has had 3 inches of snow this morning. Roads were closed in northwestern Kansas overnight because of freezing precipitation. There are also travel advisories in effect for snow and blowing snow across eastern sections of Colorado and northeastern New Mexico at this hour. It's rainy, moving across Iowa and Missouri, across into the Tennessee River Valley. Widely scattered showers across the southeast corner of the country. There is a coastal flood watch in effect from coastal regions of Delaware, Maryland, across Virginia, and the Carolinas. That because of high astronomical tides and strong northeasterly breezes. Flooding could be a problem through that area. On top of that, some folks have voluntarily evacuated their homes in coastal regions of Lake Erie for the same reason. High lake levels and very strong winds through that area. And Lincoln Memorial Drive has some flood problems in Milwaukee at this hour because of the same thing, high lake levels and very strong winds. The biggest problem, though, will be across the central part of the nation in that snow and rain and mixed rain and snow problems, so drive very carefully if you live in the Central Plains states. That's the way our weather's shaping up at this hour. Right now, here's the Monday forecast for some selected cities around the country. We'll see typical temperatures for December 1st, 30s and 40s for all except the very south, 20s across northern New England. Here's Molly now with more news.
Thanks, Valerie. Well, a unique medical program in Wisconsin seeks to help patients who are physically disabled. As CNN's Dan Rutz reports, there are people who have not been able to find an answer to their problems elsewhere.
In this intricate business of teaching the victims of accident and disease to move under control again, the common wisdom holds
most neurological patients are going to have a lot of recovery after about 2 years post.
Richard Ballier, director of a special clinic at the University of Wisconsin Hospital, does not accept that. The kind of patients attracted to the program don't either.
I just thought of this bull. I didn't believe it, Maybe that's what works for everybody else, but that's not what works for me.
Ballier has designed a practical approach to overcoming disability. This is an outpatient program. That makes it affordable for people who may need years of help. One-on-one sessions are followed by homework, essential to progress.
And in fact, we figure at least a 20-to-1 ratio here, so that for every hour of therapy they're providing at least 20 hours themselves at home, and they're doing it specifically according to our instructions.
There's a big difference between compensating for a disability and regaining a lost function. Here, the emphasis is on the latter.
Go. That's it. Go, Aaron. Go.
Aaron Warren, his spinal cord partially severed in a car accident 4 years ago, regains the use of his right hand. It is a gradual process, helped along by the monitor, which shows how muscles respond to Aaron's mental commands. Biofeedback is commonly used in physical therapy. What's unusual here is the setting and the timing. So long after the accident, Aaron is supposed to be beyond help.
Well, I think the biggest enemy for patient as well as a therapist who's treating them is the fear that they can't be treated. I think you have to have some faith that it can be done.
To avoid spreading false hope, the counselors set short-term goals and build on them. A straightened hand 1 month may lead to holding a pencil the next. Some 800 of the 1,000 patients seen here have gotten something out of it, Vallier claims. Full independence may still require elaborate gadgets, but perhaps fewer of them as the body learns little by little to take over. Dan Rutz, CNN, Madison, Wisconsin.
Pasadena yesterday had a quality all its own.
The 10th doodah parody of the Tournament of Roses parade was in reasonably good taste, except for the marching garlic cloves. CNN's Gloria Hillard has more.
Typical American families love parades. It's a tradition.
We fit right in. It's a kind of way to get with the people that you relate to.
Sort of a homecoming.
Yes.
Definitely a homecoming.
A reunion for the slightly off-center, perhaps. Although, like most parades, there was a grand marshal, only we don't think this one has a TV series. And there were drill teams making their 8th annual doodah appearance, the synchronized briefcase drill team. Escapees from a high-rise, no doubt, while these folks were missing, appropriately enough, from a hospital.
Give me a weekend pass!
Yes, it was just your typical small-town parade. But unlike other parades, this one has no judges, no themes, and some say no taste. But while we're on taste, this was the first year for the doodah commemorative beer.
It's pretty lousy.
The beer on tap was better. And while the press was in real form, so were the aerobic dropouts. And from the female contingent that wouldn't be caught in an office, natural fiber or leotards, ladies against women. And lest you say only in California, land of fun and sun, it'll be the Dole Men's drill team from Newport Beach that closes the 10th annual doodah parade. From Gloria Hillard, CNN, Pasadena, California.
I love that every year. That's Daybreak for this Monday morning. Day Watch next. Thank you, everybody. I'm Molly McCoy.
And I'm Brian Nelson. Next on Day Watch, what is hot and what is not. Christmas gifts. The week-long series called Here We Go Again begins next hour. Stay with us.
There's a changing world out there, and so much of it we want to share with you. CNN, showing life